Alang, a formidable industry in itself, is located in the Gulf of Khambat, approximately 50 km from Bhavnagar city. It is considered to be the world's largest graveyard for sea vessels. The chirping of the birds is heard in the wee hours of Alang before it breaks into huge metallic sounds and the hustle bustle of the workers. We all know how ships are born, how majestic vessels are nudged into the ocean with a bottle of champagne. But few of us know how they die, and hundreds of ships meet their death every year. I came to Alang and quickly became enthralled with shipbreaking. I never heard of it or even thought about what happens to old ships until I researched Alang. There are around 180 shipbreaking yards in Alang, out of which 130 plots are operational. All these yards are governed by Gujarat Maritime Board, and they have given the yards on lease to the shipbreakers. Rising early, the workers have to prepare their own tiffins before scurrying to work. Some have to travel quite a distance because the plots are far from their shanties. Some workers manage their own conveyance, while most have to walk. Before starting their exhausting daytime, workers idle around and enjoy some banter. The workers have to be in their protective gear and carry their own attendance cards to enter the recycling yard. Panchmukhi Hanuman, the god of courage, is the principal devotee of the laborers. Laborers stand in columns and rows as per their job. As a part of the company's training program, the Mukaddam, or the supervisor of the plot, gives toolbox talks to the laborers. The toolbox talk addresses the concerns regarding working in a plot. What precautions should the laborer take to avoid accidents, rules and regulations to be followed inside the plot, and much more. After taking extensive permissions from the government body, Gujarat Maritime Board, which regulates ship recycling in Alang, and the plot owners, I got an opportunity to experience the vastness of a ship that was already 60% cut. The climb up to the ship's deck was perilous. The view I saw from there of the majestic sea and the vessel flabbergasted me. The grand scale on which the laborers worked inside the ship was mind-blowing. Ashok Kumar, the health and safety officer, was constantly guiding me inside the maze of the ship. The shipbreaking company provides them with gas masks, gloves, and boiler suits to wear when they use the blow torches. Cranes are ripping ships apart, their metal hides peeled back by men in goggles wielding fire. Shock of innards, girders, joists, and wires. Atop ships far larger than I imagined are men, the size of fingernails. The majestic ship, which weighs up to an average of 5,000 tons or more, is broken down and cut by laborers of diverse cultures. The laborers have migrated from the states like Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Odisha, and Madhya Pradesh. The reason for the laborers to work in this dangerous environment is because of poverty and unemployment in their respective states. These folks were not the victim of migration. These folks were meant to survive. An old age adage goes, necessity is the mother of all inventions. This necessity of breaking down several thousand ships in 30 years, starting from the 1980s, led business people to look for a suitable shipbreaking site in India. The government did a feasible study of all possible sites on both the coasts of India, particularly in Gujarat. It was narrowed down to Alang on the west coast, near the sleepy town of Bhavnagar. The first reason was its long coast stretching up to 10 kilometer. The most important being its natural gradient of the geographical region. Alang is the only place on earth with a natural slope of 15 degrees, which helps the ship reach the shore without any power. The first vessel, MV Kota Tenjong, was beached at Alang on 13th February 1983. Since then, the yard has witnessed spectacular growth and has emerged globally as a leading shipbreaking yard. All the workers wear helmets, safety jackets, and boots. Someone rushes with a helmet and instructs me on the precautions to be taken while going near the vessel. Most yards are clean and cemented platforms. Scraped steel, computers, and huge engine parts are correctly stored in neat and clear temporary storage facilities. Even half-cut ships display red ribbon warning signs to workers on duty. Nowadays, teams come from all over the world to do quality certification inspections of ships. About 90% of the shipbreakers in Alang have adopted the guidelines laid by the Hong Kong Convention since 2016. The shipbreakers are themselves putting their best financial efforts into the upliftment of the plots and the working conditions of the laborers. It imposes a statutory duty on the shipbreakers to ensure safe and environmentally sound removal and management of hazardous wastes. Ships to be recycled in India shall be required to obtain a Ready for Recycling certificate in accordance with the Hong Kong Convention. It is beneficial for the shipbreakers as they get the ships at discounted rate. Since the shipbreakers are following the HKC guidelines, indirectly, the laborers have started getting higher wages, better living quarters, insurance, health facilities, training, etc. Without the training certificate from the Gujarat Maritime Board, no workers can work inside a shipbreaking yard. There is an exciting journey of how a ship reaches Alang for recycling. Most ships have a lifespan of about 25 to 30 years, after which they may not be economically viable for shipping, but still contain many materials that can be repurposed. Companies within the ship recycling industries are known as cash buyers. When they purchase a vessel with 100% cash, the cash buyer sells the vessel to the highest bidder in any one of the ship recycling industries in Alang. Upon delivery of the vessel in Indian subcontinent, it accepts a letter of credit as payment from their end ship recyclers, and it is estimated that at least 98% of vessels for recycling are sold via cash buyers. A vessel costs an average of 20 crores depending on its size and weight, which is measured in LDT. Once the ship is beached, the anchor is dropped down. The vessel's fuel tanks are completely drained, and the fuel is sold in the local market. The representative of Customs, GMB, GPCB, AERB, and Explosives Department go on board the vessel for inspection and take out all the radio equipment and radioactive chips, bring it to the ground and break it down so that it is not misused. Alang isn't your typical town, and it offers enough clues to warn you. Rows of ships dot the roadside as you approach. What they sell is odd. How they sell is even more so. Stacks of wash basins and toilet fittings, old and worn out, are on display. Big and small commercial refrigerators, some rusting, are piled up. Steel pipes, faded anchor ropes, rusted iron chains, and used cables lie in heaps and are sold by weight. Marine stores sell things you don't easily recognize, from marine engines to oil pumps, air compressors, and chilling units. Used furniture and crockery shops abound. In deserted plots amid overgrown bushes, orange boys are wasting away, and small boats and floats are strewn around. Strong demands in the ship demolition sector have been tempered by the war in Ukraine, which is creating some significant uncertainty. During such unprecedented times, it becomes difficult to make substantial decisions due to the fear of unforeseen price changes, which is why most recyclers are looking for mid-sized tonnages and refraining from large-sized tonnages.